Welcome to Be Bold Branding. Does personal branding actually work? After you define, develop, and display your personal brand, how do you know when it's actually working? So today, we're going to talk about the 6 ways you know when your personal brand is working. I'm the founder of BrandFace, and we help business stars differentiate themselves, and we do that through personal branding.
I'm Michael Carr. I'm the COO of BrandFace. I was a client before I became a partner in the company, and we are the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe. So thank you guys for joining us. A lot of you join us every week. We thank you so much for that. We thought we'd shake things up a little bit today and change up background. It's a beautiful day in Georgia here today, in North Georgia. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about how we know that our brands are working.
All right. So the number one way you know your personal brand is working is that you're uncomfortable at times with your focus, and you hope it's not going to box you in. And so what we mean by that is when you come into the BrandFace program, one of the first things we do is help you figure out who those ideal customers are. And the reason we do that is, how on earth do you know what to market, where to market, unless first of all you know who it is you're trying to attract into your life and business. So we start there, and sometimes it makes people very uncomfortable in the beginning because they're used to trying to work with everyone. But one of the biggest reasons they start working with us is because they know they cannot work with everyone. So they understand that they have to narrow their approach. And narrow doesn't mean shut out, right? So let's just take, for instance, if you say, hey, I'm working with empty nesters and seniors. Those are my 2 main primary and secondary ideal customers. It doesn't mean that you would never again work with a first-time home buyer or anybody else. It just means you don't waste your time, money, and marketing efforts working with those other people. You put your time, money, and marketing efforts where they count the most, which is pulling the right people in that you're trying to attract with your brand. And so even though at times it might feel restrictive to you because it's not what you're used to, it is the right way to do things because you're looking to help bring people into your life that you want in there on a regular basis. Now, one other thing with that is, let's say what you'll get all of the other people in your life to come in, all of the other potential customers to come to you in what we call the fringe. And so fringe means they might see some of your marketing and just like you, like your presence, like your story, and want to do business with you regardless of whether they're an ideal customer. You also will no doubt get referrals from people you work with that those referrals might not be your ideal customers. So you have 2 choices at that point in time. You can work with them. There's nothing wrong with that if you choose to. Or you can refer them to someone else and get a referral fee. So you never have to turn it down. You either take it on or you pass it on, right? And so that's a really good thing to do. So if you feel at times that you're uncomfortable and feel like maybe I'm a little too boxed in, don't worry. It's one of the ways you know your brand is working.
Yep, and it is a good one because it takes a minute. You got to live it. You got to live your brand.
It sure does.
The second way is that you know your brand is working is when you start to get noticed by your competitors, like other agents, and especially if they come with certain snide comments. That's a very important indicator that you're actually getting somewhere. But folks, look, I got to say this, and I'm just tough love about it. Get over it. I mean, you got to listen. That nobody that would say that you're doing wrong by putting your brand out there and attracting your ideal customer, like, is going to feed you if you're hungry. Okay, so you have to keep this in mind. They run their business, you run your business. It's very important that we keep this in mind because when they start noticing you, then you know that your brand is beginning to work, right? Now here's the thing. You might have a lot of people at the beginning in your sphere of like your competitive sphere of influence, like your other agents in your market or other agents even in your brokerage. You might have them start noticing you even before you begin to see other customers out there. But it is a very first indicator that they are paying attention to what's going on. Now, you start to live it and see the difference that it'll make. And it won't be long before the smart ones will be coming to you and asking you, okay, what do I do?
Exactly, which comes a little bit later, actually. So the number 3 way that you know your personal brand is working is you are becoming known for exactly what you want to be known for, and the customers that were maybe time wasters or tire kickers for you before eventually stop calling you. They stop reaching out to you. That's a critical thing because that is actually what you want. It's perfectly okay, in fact, necessary for a brand to be somewhat polarizing, right? You want to attract the right people. You want to not attract, perhaps, the wrong people, not necessarily make them dislike you or turn them away with a negative taste in their mouth. That's not what you want, and that's not what we do here. Those are not the kinds of brands we're talking about. We're talking about they see that, oh, that's what that person does. Well, maybe they're not the best fit for me, and it's the truth, and you want it to be that way. So when you're getting to be known for exactly what you want to be known for, and some of those people that were kind of wasting your time a little bit before actually stop reaching out to you, that's a very good thing. It's a very good thing.
Yeah, and then the fourth way is people begin to recognize you and they call you by your brand identifier or they mention it. Now this is really big, and you're never going to forget it, guys. If you're out there and you're living your brand and you're putting your brand out there, you're never going to forget the first person that walks up and tells you that. And yeah, I never will. I had a guy come in the office after working with Tanya for a little over a year, almost 2. And this guy comes in the office off of the street and he goes, hey, man, I'm from Tampa, Florida. I'm up here for an investment group. I'm looking for a commercial piece of property and I need an agent in town that can show me what's going on. And I had no list and I saw your sign and you're anything real estate. You got to be the guy to help me. And then I also remember the very first time about a year in where I got a phone call. We got our phone call to our switchboard and the person said, hey, I understand y'all are anything real estate. I've got a special request, and I'm looking for a unique piece of property. So you don't forget these things, and you'll begin to see that. They will notice that. And it might even be somebody in a restaurant where you walk in and they're like, oh, hey, you're Tanya, the agent to business stars or something like that. I read your book. I saw you on a YouTube or, whatever.
Right.
You know that it's beginning to work when they recognize you and mention your brand identifier.
Okay, so the number 5 way you know your brand is working is you begin to get calls, emails, and messages asking for your advice in your chosen niche or your specialty. That one is something that a lot of our people love about the branding because it's not just having people reach out and fill out a form or anything like that, but it is about having them ask you for your advice because they see you as the authority or the expert. That's what's critical about it, right? So when you begin to get those calls, emails, and messages, as Michael has gotten many of them now, and actually what's a really cool thing, we just finished our weekly Wednesday webinar. It's a live group webinar that we do for the agents in our branding program. And we call it our BrandFace family. We have a lot of fun on that call every week. It's live. Yeah, and we actually had 5 agents today on the call spend time with us and tell us exactly which one of these 5 or 6, or which one of these 6 points that we're talking about today was working for them, and several were working on several levels, even just weeks into the program. And so it doesn't take a year or 2 years or 5 years. Literally, it can take a moment and exposure, right? It takes exposures, not days, weeks, or years. So that is the number 5 thing, is you begin to get calls, emails, and messages asking for your advice.
Yep. And then the big transformation, number 6, is when your ideal customers become the bank of your business. Like when you notice that now when you've transitioned out of being everything to everybody, and the bulk of the percentage of the business that you are doing are your ideal customers. And people, it's amazing to me how we don't think this way automatically as real estate agents. But I think it's because we're sort of trained when we go through school to be everything for everybody. Our schooling is about our laws and our statutes, our state statutes, and how to take care of the business in an honest, fiduciary, responsible way. And they're not there to teach us marketing, right? And so we come out of that, and we've learned how to be an attorney, and we've learned how to be a CPA, and we've learned how to be a mathematician, and we've learned how to be, a salesman, and all this kind of stuff that they pack into us. They don't teach us how to be a marketer, right? So we come out of it, and we think, oh, commission, commission, commission. Let me get all the money that I can. I'm going to drive 3 hours to try to sell this guy's house because I need a commission. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done it, and anybody new in the business has done it, right? But you don't want to live that way. You don't want to live that way. I got to go into this. One of the smartest men I've ever known, right? This guy owns a 10,000 acre almond farm in Central California. Back in the REO days when I was selling a lot of them, this guy went into 7 major markets, and he was buying, and Atlanta was one of them, Dallas was one of them, San Diego just happened to be one, Houston, Texas was a big one, and so he was buying these properties all over and hiring brokers like me in the area, and we would rehab the houses and sell them for him, stuff like that. And every time that he sold off a batch in those 7 cities, he bought a bigger batch in his own hometown. Now that guy owns like 700 houses in his own hometown, right? And so within an hour's drive, this guy took all the houses that he bought, sold them, made the profit to buy the houses that were close to him. And we don't need to do any different as real estate agents. We want, when you start off, take your commissions. But when you start spending your money on advertising and you start looking for people, build that brand to get that ideal customer. And then number 6, you're going to see when that becomes the bulk of your business, your life is happier, you're having fun at what you're doing, you're working with people that you want to be working with, and you know that your brand has worked.
Yep. And speaking of knowing your brand is working, we've got to acknowledge Miss Sydney Peck, because she just posted here. And actually, for those of you who don't know, Sydney is one of Michael's real estate agents. And so Michael puts his money where his mouth is, right? So he's a broker. He has multiple agents underneath him, I think up to 16 now, right? And what he sees as his success is their success. So Michael Carn Associates and Michael himself, he has a personal brand. The business itself, the brokerage, has a brand. As part of that brand are the wonderful people that he is able to attract into that business to go out and be other representatives of Michael Carn Associates. Sydney came into the program as a 17-year-old, not to the program. She came into the company as a 17-year-old who was on an internship. Yeah. And over that time, I'll let you
I wasn't even her first choice. I wasn't even the first choice. She said, "Oh no, I sent an email to 3 other people, but you answered first." And she said, "I like the way the interview went." So the early bird gets to learn.
That's right. We got Sydney.
But what I noticed as a broker right off the bat is, look, we all know this, people. We're all. How many times somebody come to you and they ask your opinion, and when somebody asks your opinion about something and they care about what your opinion is about it, and they're seeking knowledge, then your smart person says, "Okay, this is somebody to invest time in." Space and money into, and she did. She stayed with me. She worked for free all the way through, like midway through the summer of her after she had graduated, and been with us ever since. And now she runs a national account for us. She's a global brand training specialist all over the country for our BrandFace people. Like, it's just amazing. And she came to me early on and said, "I want a brand. I want a brand. My career's in real estate, and I want a brand, and I want a brand." And she went through the program and paid for the program, went through the program, and then and she's in Jacksonville, North Carolina, building a bank of business in North Carolina, as well as she knows she's going to return back to the North Georgia area, and she's working on all of her prospecting here also with the new brand that she uses. So.
And her brand identifier is American Dream Agent, and nobody exemplifies that better than Sydney. So, Sydney, we are so proud to have you in both companies, Yep. But as a brand face, you just wear it well, and we're really proud of you and so happy that it's already starting to work for you because you just finished the program very recently. So anyway, just wanted to give a shout out to Miss Sid. Yep. So, all right, guys. So that's it. Those are the 6 reasons. And so I'll recap those for you real quick here. 6 ways you know your brand is working. Number 1, you're uncomfortable at times with your focus and hope it's not going to box you in. Nothing wrong with that. It's okay. It's normal.
Yep.
Number 2
is you know your brand's getting noticed when other agents start mentioning it to you. Right? Your competitors say something to you.
Not always nice, by the way.
Yeah.
That's okay, too.
That's okay, too.
Number 3, you're becoming known for exactly what you want to be known for. And the customers that were time wasters or tire kickers for before are now not calling you as much.
Yep. And number 4, people begin to recognize you for that identifier. That's big. That's really big.
Number 5, you begin to get calls, emails, and messages asking for your advice in your specialty or niche.
Yep. And number 6, you notice that the biggest percentage in your bank of business is your ideal customer that your brand has attracted.
Yep. So those are 6 ways. I'm sure there are a lot more, guys, but those are the 6 major ways that you know your brand is working. You want to learn more? We have 2 dedicated Facebook groups that you can join and get access and content that you can't get anywhere else. If you're a real estate professional, go to Build Your Real Estate Brand. And if you are a business owner or entrepreneur, go to Build Your Business Star Brand. Those are both Facebook groups, and we're waiting to let you in.
Yep. Join up, guys. We'd love to talk to you about branding more and more and more. Hey, listen, we know what we say around BrandFace is prosperity favors the bold. We know about prosperity here, and we strive for prosperity every day, and we strive for prosperity for our clients all over the country. And we're not just talking about money. We're talking about the 360 of the abundant life, which is what we preach and what we live and what we want for you also. We know here that prosperity favors the bold, so we say be bold, folks, especially with your brand, and stay bold right now. It's very important. I promise you it'll pay huge dividends. And keep in mind, everybody's essential, no matter what you hear. And thank you, Ms. Tom.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you again, Sid. And everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.